Okay, thank you. Good morning, all. First of all, I don't know if everyone got all of our agenda and minutes and that, but we'll start with the approval of the January 2022 minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve it, and Laurel John Wall, I believe, did send out our packet.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I've got your agenda up too, Laurel.
Okay, do I have a second?
Can you see it?
Yep.
So we don't have Rick Remages, we just have Ernie. So Ernie, if you could second it, I can't see who all's here because of the sharing of the screen. So
Right.
So
well, I'll second it. I mean, it's.
Oh, that's right. Okay, because I'm okay. Thanks.
Okay. Approval of the January 2022 financials. I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Forgot that last time. Sorry. Opposed? The nays. Okay, moving on. Greg Parrish for the water report. Greg, you're muted.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. This month, meters have all been read. We had an issue with the software. We tried to download the routes to our laptop. They couldn't be downloaded. We notified Neptune, and they were already aware of the issues, and they were working on them. They finally got everything up and running the following day, so we were able to get the meters read. Everything uploaded okay back in the system okay too. So we got back T samples were taken this month. Results were absent. Also did our first quarter of the stage 2 disinfectants this month, and they also came back under MCLs. We have our annual water audit this year that has to be reported to the IFA, which is Indiana Finance Authority. They sent out a new version this year, a 6.0 version. Austin has been working on getting that entered so that we can get the water audit validated. Locates have been filtering in for the season. I suspect those will increase over the next few weeks. Also, I have asked Jim Maurer from Haas and Associates to attend the meeting today to discuss separating the water project from the sewer project. I would like to see this move forward possibly this spring, if at all possible. There are potential benefits to separating these projects. Jim can shed some light on that. We feel that with all the man hours and locating for design and working with Haas for the past year and a half or so, we can do the project pretty invasive without making a lot of road surface repair and not have too much inconvenience to homeowners on Lakeshore Drive during the construction of these upgrades. Jim, are you on somewhere? Maybe he's
I don't
not.
see him, Greg.
He was going to call in.
Well, there is a phone number here ending in 188. I don't know who that is.
Okay. And I'm not sure what, let's see. That would be Jim.
Okay. Well, he's muted.
Fast and unmute.
Yeah, I don't.
Greg, you're talking about doing the water project before or after the sewer?
I would say before. Maybe try to get it this spring. I know I had talked to Jim a couple times, and he was saying that could be beneficial to separate those projects. So it doesn't sound like it's something that we can't do. But There might even be some cost savings too as well. And I think, like I said, I think I'm pretty confident that we can do the water upgrades without making too much disturbance on Lakeshore Drive. When we first initiated this project with this piggybacking with the sewer, I kind of envisioned everything being tore up, the roads tore up and that. So that was kind of why I wanted to we might as well upgrade all the infrastructure on Lakeshore Drive. But after working with Haas and doing some design and just discussion that we can do this water upgrades without disturbing the surface of the road. There may be a couple spots we may have to do a couple road cuts, but nothing major. The road would remain open, and we can move this project forward. I was kind of hoping Jim was going to be able to explain a little more of the details of what we have to do to move this forward.
Greg, can you text him? Greg, can you text him and see if he'll unmute?
Yeah.
Actually, he's off now. He's not even here, so
Okay. Well,
maybe you could call him and see.
yeah, give me a minute and I'll see if I
Okay.
can contact.
Here he's down. He's back.
in now.
Okay. Jim, can you hear us?
Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, this is Jim Mauer.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, I had to call in again because I missed the instructions on how to unmute myself. So I heard the meeting up until you couldn't contact me.
Okay.
And so I'll participate any way I can.
Okay. Jim, I just left off that maybe you could explain what the process would be for us to separate the two projects and maybe the benefits and timelines that we would need to move forward.
Okay. The way the project is set up, the water service replacement work is part of the contract, but it's all as an alternative, so we can keep the costs separated for separate payment. Furthermore, the water services are set up to be done basically by trenchless technology, except for an excavation at the water main and at the existing shutoff valve. Furthermore, the work is to be done either before or after the sanitary sewer work. The thinking there is that there's just too much going on to try to coordinate water service replacements with the homeowner at the same time that work is happening right in front of the homeowner's house. The project will be SRF state low-interest loan funded, the sewer project, and that requires that the contractor and all subcontractors pay the federal wage scale. That doesn't matter so much because most contractors pay that wage scale anyway. Also, because it's a Michigan City project, the contractors and subcontractors have to try to meet the local hiring agreement of Michigan City, which that can be a problem. If you did your project separately, you wouldn't have to worry about either a federal wage scale or a Michigan City local hiring requirement. Your contractor would not. Regarding when the services are put in, possibly it would be better to put the new services in before the sanitary sewer, because each one of those services will be exposed and have to be supported during the sewer construction. and possibly new copper pipe would hold up better than whatever the existing service pipe is. That Greg would know that better than I. Are you all
Yeah,
still with me?
Yeah, most
I heard-
most of the service, well, all the services that we're replacing, they're going to be old galvanized pipe. So
Okay.
I agree. I think if we had new infrastructure as far as the water goes before the water or before the sewer project, that it's going to make things easier for them. That way, they're not having to deal with leaky pipes and whatnot. So
Right. The way it stands now, the project will be bid in March, within a couple weeks, and construction or bids received in April, and hopefully the loan closed in June, and construction can start. However, there'll be a delay for materials and also whether or not we allow sewer construction during June, July, August, and early September on Lakeshore Drive. That's another alternative to determine if a contractor can work at that time. Now, I assume the water services could be done in the summer, because you're not affecting the street. You are affecting off-street areas one at a time or two at a time. And I heard Greg say that we can use our documents that we've prepared for the sewer because we've also shown the water services on them. We can use those for contract documents for the water service project alone, if it's done that way without much problem at all. So we're pretty much set to do it either way. I really kind of would like to see you do it separately. However, if everything goes right and sewer project does follow the schedule I said, and construction would start either late summer or early fall, there wouldn't be much time for you to get your project. Well, yeah, you probably could get your project done in that length of time.
yeah, that's kind of what I was anticipating. Even if we did stay piggyback with the sewer, it sounds like we would have enough time to maybe do the water before the sewer project would even start.
Right. Or else you could work in one direction or the other, and the sewer project could start such that you will have been done in the areas where they start. And they'll start, we could have them start at Moore Road. That's the last lift station. And so then you could follow that same sequence and you'd be way ahead of them. Even if you weren't done at the west end by the time they started, you would be by the time they got there.
Correct.
So I think it's definitely doable for you to do the project separate if you'd like.
Okay. Well, that would be my recommendation to the committee. If anybody has any questions or thoughts, we'd like to hear about it.
Greg, this is Chris, and this is for everybody, because I know this is a little bit of an odd meeting with everybody combined. And I just want to point out that part of what we need to do here, so I know I'm jumping ahead and I don't mean to hijack your organization and organizational agenda here, Laurel, but we need to figure out what the dynamic is. And under the code right now for the town, there is nothing that both committees and however they end up under this Public Works Committee are advisory in nature. So whatever we're doing, those are going to get carried to the council. And, payment of claims, doing all of those things, because if everybody remembers when that ordinance was passed, neither are standalone, and one used to be part of the code, meaning the water board, but street commission wasn't. So again, I don't mean to throw too much on this, but part of what really has to happen here, and I don't know if all of you leave this meeting deciding that we need to have another one in short order to discuss, or you appoint a few people, and I don't want to add to Marshall Swistek's point, but maybe it's that we have town administrator along with the department heads, and then the overall committee that's taking a pass at all of these things involving both street and water, because it's combining into one. So I'm throwing that out there, Greg, and sorry, because I just felt like it's the appropriate time to speak up, because I don't know what everybody's intentions or thoughts of results of this meeting or the topics that are listed here. So, we need to make some progress towards figuring out how we're going to codify this new committee, for lack of a better description, and how that's going to.
Chris, this is Laurel. My understanding is that we're just an advisory. The water portion is just an advisory. So these meetings are basically discussions that would be presented to the council. I don't know how the street department's committee worked before, but it is our understanding that we're going through our options that would then be presented to the town council.
Yeah, and I just want, and again, this first one is going to be a little bit off because we're having two different committees, and I get that. Like I said, I do think it's incumbent, and all of you collectively can tell me. I think it might be best, and again, then I'll be quiet here. I think it might be best collectively with this group here today to appoint a few people to work with me to come back to this group again with a proposed scheme for how this whole committee is going to work, and maybe go from there, because this meeting might turn into a 5-hour meeting. And I know we're going to address all of those today, but I think that might be a way to get things off center. And I just wanted to be clear. So sorry, like I said, I didn't mean to hijack your agenda or meeting here. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page, because it's going to be a little confusing today, the way that this is put together.
Okay, so I'm going to assume that, so could our advisory board make a recommendation to go before the council and to separating the projects and moving the water forward at this point?
I think that you absolutely can make that recommendation, and the council will make that's right, just as Laura laid out. So I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that if everybody's prepared to do that. Absolutely great.
Okay, Greg, I make the motion that we separate this to upgrade our water department on Lakeshore Drive and separate it from the street side or the sewer side.
I'll second that motion.
And Lynn, feel free to simplify that motion.
So Jim, I guess if you're still on, is there a timeline that we would have to let you know that we do want to separate these projects and move forward with the water? And if so, then what would be the council's time frame to make that decision?
The next council meeting is 2 weeks from tonight.
I believe so.
That's
All right.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, I mean, that would be the soonest, I assume, we could get a decision. That would be fine. Do you want to work in the summer on Lakeshore Drive? Or have your contractor work in the summer? If so, if that's okay with you, I'd say proceed as soon as possible. Well, actually, you have the money, so you don't need any time for a bond issue or anything like that. If you get started in the spring and you want to hold off for the summer because of the busyness on Lakeshore Drive, it would still work then, because we could arrange the water service work so that it would always be ahead of the sewer work if that would start in the fall. So I think the sooner the better, but I wouldn't want the decision to be made by the town without fully considering everything. So either this month's meeting or the next month, I would say we can work around whatever it takes to make sure that the water services are replaced before the sewer is put in.
Okay, so, as far as working during the summer or starting as soon as we can on the water, I think the way that we've got this figured out on doing these upgrades, it's going to be pretty invasive. I don't think that it's going to be causing a lot of Lakeshore Drive residents or overall the town any problems or congestion on Lakeshore Drive. It's not really going to be any different than just normal things that go on Lakeshore Drive anyway, as far as people working on their homes and whatnot. There's not really going to be any lane closures going in both directions, I wouldn't think. So
Right.
I would recommend that we just maybe try to get this going as soon as we can. And then that way we know we're going to be done with the water before the sewer project. That would be my recommendation, as long as everybody else kind of agrees with me on that.
This is Laurel. My understanding is that NIPSCO is going to be doing some work on Lakeshore Drive. Is that correct? Or have we heard
That's
anything
correct.
about that?
That's correct. They've given us a schedule. That affects the sewer work.
Okay.
Their gas mains are in the way of some of the sewers that are going to have to go in. So that shouldn't affect the water service work.
Okay. As long as we're not both on Lakeshore Drive at the same time in each other's way.
Right.
NIPSCO's scheduled to
I believe they're
start.
going to start in the fall. They're going to start in the fall.
Oh, okay.
Actually, Jim, they're talking about doing some work in April now.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
So I'm assuming that that's still not going to be a conflict with the water, though, correct, Jim? Or John?
Right, because they're not working everywhere, and certainly it can be coordinated so that no work, both aren't working in the same location at the same time.
Greg, I might suggest that you get an idea, you get a little descriptive, a little narrative of what your project consists of and the duration of it and the amount, and then we'll get that as part of what you present to the town council so we can get that authorized.
Okay. As far as cost, those are just projections. We don't, it hasn't been out to bid, so we don't know what the actual cost is going to be. All we're looking at is we're just upgrading water taps, houses to the north and houses to the south. There's like 140, I believe, homes on Lakeshore Drive need to be upgraded.
Well, you're going to have a bid package put together by Haas, though, right?
Yes.
Do we have to wait for the council's approval to get that bid process started? So we'd have to wait at least until the next meeting.
Yeah, I'm suggesting that the way we've got this set up now, it'd behoove you to get whatever you're trying to do packaged up such that the council can approve it for authorizing it to proceed, which I think if you had the bid package roughed out, which it sounds like they're already doing that for you, Greg, and then you'd have something to, even if it's preliminary estimates, at least the town council would have an authorization for you on roughly what you think it's worth.
Yeah, Jim, you guys got that prepared already, don't you?
We do. We can put together a project description and a schedule and a cost estimate. Council will have to authorize bidding. So we can do that and certainly have it all done in time for the council to look at it before their meeting.
Okay, well, let's,
Take long to do.
okay, well, let's go ahead and do that then, and then, we'll propose that to the, town council.
Will do.
So I guess, back to, as far as the water advisory committee, everybody, approve of us separating these projects and moving forward?
Yes.
I think we need to be clear here that all these decisions are going to be made by the whole Public Works Committee on both fronts, the street and the water. So, I mean, Chris could correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think that's the intent with this combined committee. So we have to kind of watch our votes probably, Laurel.
Okay.
And everything should be, Laurel, just to make sure that everything's roll call since we're still electronic.
Yes.
Okay, well, that would be my recommendation, and that we, let Oz proceed with, the information that's gonna need to be entertained before the town council.
Well, Laurel, I think you have a motion and a second. I don't know if you know all the members on the committee. Do you want me to be the secretary and do the roll call vote for you?
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so the motion was to separate the projects. Was that the extent of it?
Yes.
Okay, so Mary Lou McFadden,
Aye,
Rick Blank.
he's absent.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Laurel Kosinski,
Yes, I agree.
Rick Remages,
Rick?
Ernest Summers,
I agree.
Scott Pop,
Agree.
John Wall,
Yes.
Dan Tanis,
Yes.
Don Reinking, Tom Dahl.
Yes, yes.
Tom Dahl?
Yes.
Okay, that's it.
Okay.
Okay,
So the motion has been voted on and passed.
okay, and that does conclude my report, if anybody has any questions.
Okay. First, does anybody have any other questions for Jim? If not,
I have a question.
okay.
I'm told there's a bill that's introduced by Pressel in the House, State House, that impacts the sewer timing maybe and how it's funded. Is any of this contingent on what happens with that bill?
We're not anticipating that bill is going to have any impact on our project.
Good. I'm not familiar with it, but I'm not following it either.
And I don't believe that that bill would affect the water side with what we're wanting to do.
That's my understanding. However, if you did your water project as part of the sewer project, it would have an effect if it stops the sewer project.
Well, we just
Okay.
voted to recommend a separation of those two, Jim. I don't think that's going to be the case anymore.
Right.
Good.
Okay. Thank you, Jim, for taking your time out this morning and joining us. And
Thank you.
any more questions for Greg? If not, we'll move on to old business. The cross-connection control ordinance, backflow preventers. Could you talk us through that, Greg?
Yeah, what we need to do, for IDEM standards is, we have to have records of all of the backflow preventers in our water system. And we do have quite a few. Those are mainly pertained on irrigation systems, and I believe there are some homes that have autofills for their pools that are required to have backflows. But we need to have those inspected annually. That's going to be solely up on the homeowner that they have that done, and then they have to send us a copy of an approved, validated backflow preventer, and we have to keep those on file. Mary Lou, myself, and also met with the town attorney, Chris Willoughby, with a draft to mandate a backflow inspections annual on irrigation systems. So far, our list of irrigation systems we have in the town is about 250 homes. So far, Lynn is still working on flagging more homes. So hopefully Chris will have this ordinance done by our next council meeting as well.
And Greg, don't
Yes.
don't forget to remind them, if, like where I live, if they pump out of Lake Claire or they have a well, they will not have to get this inspection.
Right, as long as homes that have wells have irrigation system and they're not connected to the domestic water, they do not have to have this done. And
Will
Lake Claire is the same way. If you're pumping out of the lake, then you don't have to have your backflow inspected.
Okay. And just for the record, will you state again why we need this done? Because I think it's important, because we have a new group with us, and probably Tom knows because he works hand in hand with you, but just for the new people as to why we need this done.
What a backflow does is if you have low pressures on either side, the backflow stops reverse flow. If we were to have Mr. Smith that lives on Silvertip watering his grass one morning, and we have the fire department working a hot fire on Avondale, which is lower than that point, that's going to cause reverse flow. So now Mr. Smith's irrigation water is flowing to his house and actually can potentially go into the water system and contaminate it. It's to protect everybody. It's a safety issue. And with our photography in Long Beach, we're very susceptible to have reverse flows. So it's very important that we have these backflows inspected so that we don't have any issues. And then, of course, IDEM recommends it, and they're making it mandatory for us to keep record and make sure that these are being inspected.
And this is Chris. On the heels of what Mary Lou and Greg have done, that I was not aware of, and it's not in my wheelhouse to know, but certainly as I've looked at it and some of the points proposed by Greg and his department along with Mary Lou is very, very important. And the more I looked into it, we also need some provisions in this ordinance that allow, or at least clarify. There are some things that are already state law, but this will make it clear and hopefully writing in a little more English for the residents to understand. And really it's incumbent upon any contractor. So something that's very important, but also some enforcement mechanisms and ability for the department to make it clear that they have access to check these if they need to. So we definitely will have for Greg and Mary Lou to kind of review the proposed ordinance. Like I said, it turned into a little bit more because we need to have some enforcement mechanisms, and then they'll be in a position to present that to the council in a couple of weeks.
Great.
And then do we need to make the residents aware of, by a letter or some type of, maybe on our website?
Yeah, all right, Laurel. Greg and Lynn have been working on that, and they're just waiting to get the okay. And I think they're going to do both, where we send out letters. And they're just waiting for the the green light to go, and then they'll prepare everything. Because if I believe this right, Greg, we want to get this done before before Cousin Ernie turns on their water system, right?
Yes, yeah, we want to implement that this season. And also, we'll have it on our website. We'll also have a link to IDEM's website that has certified backflow inspectors on that list as well. Also, we're going to send all the vendors that work in Long Beach, we will send them also the policy so that they know when they come to turn on somebody's irrigation that they have to inspect that backflow. Lynn, did you have anything to add to that?
No, Mary Lou said we're really just waiting. What I was anticipating doing was that there will be a letter sent out to contractors pretty much anytime, as soon as possible. And we know the contractors who generally work with the residents here to turn on their irrigation and sprinkler systems. So they'll be getting letters from us just acknowledging that we know that they work with the residents, and that this requirement for record keeping will be starting this spring. I was going to put on the water bill a notation saying for anyone who has sprinklers, irrigations, and pool auto fills to contact the water department so that we can start getting a list of the people that self-identify that way. And that was very helpful to know about the folks that are pumping out of Lake Claire. So I'll make sure that we have them as a separate group who are not required to do this. And there was one other thing. It's escaping me right now, but in terms of the timeline of this, it's just essential to get it done as people are turning their water on for the summer. They will have already had to deal with the customer themselves are responsible for making sure that we get all the paperwork, even though obviously the contractors are going to assist them with that. So moving on it quickly is important.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, any more questions on that subject or comments?
Laurel, this is Chris. Before we go
Yeah.
further, and so I don't take up this committee's time, I was originally here just to talk about the organizational thing, so I don't want to be on the town's dime for this whole meeting, but I see, with your blessing, there are a couple items that I have comment on that maybe we'll move them along, if that's okay.
Okay,
And then
yeah,
I'll
go
back
ahead.
out of here. One is the small claims. I know this is Mary Lou's, and one of the things that she did, and along with you, of cleaning up some of the deadbeats, for lack of a better description. And we have one out there that's been there. Where we are with that, my office has been working pro bono. We got a judgment against them. Unfortunately, they moved out of town. So we have a judgment. The process is to try to get their attention. The next step is a proceeding supplemental, which gets their attention. But I just want everybody to understand, they're out of town. Whether we do or don't collect, I think it's $500 or $600 total plus the filing fee. So we are working on that. I don't know how hopeful I am that we'll track them down or get their attention, but we're having a little bit of problem getting service of that mailing. And because they're in Illinois, we're not going to personally go there. But if we can, one of these days they sign for our certified or accept our letter, and I can set them for a rule to show cause why they shouldn't be held in contempt, we might be able to get a body attachment, which, again, I don't want to bore you with collection law. I just want to let everybody know this hasn't fallen off, but it's one of those. The town's not getting charged for this because quite honestly, I know this one stuck in Mary Lou's craw because they were able. This is on the front end of her cleaning up some of these along with your department. So we are, and we've just offered to do it because we're already in, and we already have people in that court. So it's not really racking up the meter too much to try to collect this. Okay.
I do appreciate, I was going to say that I do appreciate you saying that. The other thing is with Lynn in that department, as soon as they try to move back in, bingo, that's how she caught one of the, I like the new word, deadbeats. I think we have some other names for them, but she caught him and just said, oh, well, wait a minute, we have this outstanding bill. So hopefully they'll come to their senses, and they may want to come back here one day.
That's right. And we'll have, and that judgment will be out there, and that's good. And if they buy property, that also will attach. So I don't want to bore you. I just want to let you know that, whether you guys keep that as an agenda item, it's not lost on us. And then jumping forward, I think John Wall has one with Sourcewell and Tom. That's something that came before the town council last month with regard to buying a piece of equipment, and there's some normal procedures with regard to purchases. However, there's a Sourcewell contract out there, and so I will defer and let them speak and inform everybody, but my advice is going to be able to come back. There are certain exceptions under state law that if things have been negotiated for the benefit of the state, so that'll be something that I don't know that it's new to this committee. Like I said, it's already at the council level, but I saw it on an agenda, so I just wanted to speak to that. And then I will be quiet and get off everybody's time here.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Is there anything else here you want to address?
That's it.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, have a good day. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, well, moving back to the water department budget, I believe that Bill transferred last year's budget into 2022, but the changes that were made, Helen has still not completed that. So hopefully we'll get that done soon. It's been a long-term project. Okay, any other old business? None? Let's move
Laurel,
on.
the new town manager, he did send us I don't know if everybody got it, but there's an award down at, I think, the police station for AED, so he only stayed the first half hour. And I think Mark just wanted to be on, to keep up to date of what the group's doing. So with Lynn's notes, he'll be kept up to date. But I just wanted to let everybody know that's why he checked out if he didn't get his email.
Okay, any other old business? Let's move on to the new business. Mary Lou, you're looking for committee members?
I think Ernie's our new committee member.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was the last meeting or not, but you and Rick are still on it. Your terms weren't up. And I think here's how it went. Rick Remages replaced me as a resident, and I replaced Nick Meyer as a council person. So I think Rick's term was up, but I think Dr. O'May just kept us all as it was and then put Ernie in. We voted on that at the town council meeting. So Ernie's our new member that we need to welcome.
Welcome, Ernie.
Yeah.
Scott Pop is a new member also.
Who is?
Scott Pop.
Oh, for the water side?
Well, again, for the whole committee.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to exclude him. I was just and I should have looked at that. So welcome, Scott.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Okay, billing, payments, and adjustments. Lynn?
Okay, I'll run through these quickly. I think the people in the water department are pretty familiar with this. Each month I'm just making it clear what transactions took place out of the water department office that were either billing adjustments or paying adjustments, and this is a way of having it on record and to basically supervise that I'm doing the right thing. This month we had 2 individuals whose automatic direct pay ACH didn't fly through the bank, and they both are paying their $15 charge for having to reverse that payment. So you see them on payment adjustments, and we do ask that everybody keep their names confidential. And as for the billing adjustments, these were both approved in our January meeting to reverse the fees for these 2 individuals who had not received the bills on time and have got good payment records. So those were just retroactively approved. When it happened in the January meeting, and I went ahead and did the actual billing adjustment. And I think I put as a separate agenda item the current people requesting to reverse their late fees. Do you want me to do that now since it's the very
Yeah,
next
go
day?
ahead.
Okay, because we'll need a motion on this, but there were, again, two individuals, one for 966, another for 1104, for people who said that one was a bank check, actually. They had always to get their bank to cut us a check through bill pay, and the bank's check date was January 25th. I gave over a week for it to arrive in time for the due date of the 31st, and it did not. So the bank was surprised, the customer was surprised, and I was not surprised. I said, please do it earlier. So that one person asked to have that late fee reversed, and the other person was one of the folks that did not get their bill, which also happens. The third person is actually going to be for this month coming forward. She's a direct pay customer. She experienced a theft of her checks and got hacked basically, and a great amount of money withdrawn from her account. And so they closed everything immediately, which ended up with the direct pay being bounced. And so I wanted to be able to ask permission to not charge her the fee under the circumstances. And she had a heavy plate she was carrying when she talked to me about what she was doing financially. So I'm assuming that she will not have gotten a check to us, but if she does not get a check to us by today, I would like to not charge her a late fee. But I need that to be voted on.
I make a motion to approve all of those.
I second it.
All right, I'll do the roll call. Mary Lou McFadden,
Aye.
Laura Kozinski,
Aye.
Rick Remiges,
Aye.
Ernie Summers,
Aye.
Scott Pop,
Aye.
John Wall,
Aye.
Dan Tanis,
Aye.
Don Reinke,
Aye.
Tom Dahl.
Aye.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there any other new business? Okay, moving on. Is there anything from the floor?
Yes, this is Zafar Rizvi. I just wanted to find out what happened. Last week I received an email from Bill that there's the water bill was not mailed lost by the post office, several of them. And then I requested immediately that if they can email it to me, and they emailed it to me and I paid it right away. But is that not affected a lot of people due to the something happened at the water department when they mail those bills?
I believe that
Do you want me to address that, Laura?
either you or I, whatever you want.
I was the one getting everything back from the post office.
Right.
So
go ahead.
the post office has said that, to the best of their knowledge, it was their doing, having to do with a paper jam. We sent the bills out on the first of the month, and everything went smoothly. And then 2 weeks into the month, we began getting back from the post office. Almost 100 bills were destroyed by the Postal Service, ripped up. Some people just got the top half bills with no payment stub. We've put together some emergency measures to make sure that that will not happen again this month, but the Postal Service basically has to do some maintenance on their machine, it's the best of our understanding. But it was not the water department. We also did contact every single person that we got back the shredded mail about. Everybody was contacted and received new bills. If they are late, I will be keeping track of anyone who's late and will be requesting that they not have to pay a late fee due to that problem with the post office.
By the way, I received my bill, actual bill, last Thursday. So it was due on 28th. Luckily, I got the email bill and I paid it right away. Is that possible if people can be, now it's electronically send it by email instead of mailing that?
That's what we did so far. We emailed everyone we had an email address for. We called people that we didn't have emails for, but we had phone numbers, and if their phone numbers weren't correct, I sent them a new contact information form and wrote them a formal letter to just say, we were not able to contact you by email or phone. Please update your contact information with us, and this is what happened. Here's a copy of your bill. So anyone who ends up being late because of this, that will be on next month's agenda. I'll be requesting that we reverse all those fees, or I guess I could do it now. I guess I could say anyone that have a motion for that. I don't know. that anyone comes in.
Yeah,
Because
my
this,
suggestion was that instead of mailing it and costing the water department also a lot of money to mail this thing, why can't we just email it to everybody whoever
are
like
you
to get it, but
are you talking about all the bills?
all the bills, yeah.
Oh, that would not save the water department money because they'd be paying me to do that. That's a lot of hours.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I was just thinking that if it's, people can just receive the email and right away and then pay it and move on. So,
No, for future billing, it's going to continue to go through the mail.
okay. All right, thank you, appreciate it. But I just contacted my bank to make sure it's clear. It was clear on 22nd, which you were supposed to receive on 18th, but it cleared on 22nd.
Right.
Since
So far, you're marked as being paid. And what I do at the end of every month is that after I do the final deposit, which I did on Friday, I run a report to see how many people still have not paid their bill. We actually have fewer people this month than the month prior, who, as in more people have paid their bill right now than had the month prior. So I think that we were able to contact everybody. It was a lot of hours that I put in to do that, but everyone got contacted about those 100 bills that we had a problem with. So
yeah,
I think we're okay.
I actually thank you for sending me right away email, and I took care of it right away. Thank you, appreciate it. But okay.
Okay, anything else from the floor? And Lynn, I want to thank you for all the hard work that you put into that to really.
I got to say hello to a lot of customers.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, nothing else from the floor? Claims. I went in and reviewed, I don't have the count here, but $172,788.56. I found them all to be in good order, except for one. There was an overpayment, and actually it was to the town for the reimbursement for payroll, sewers, and refuge. That will be taken care of on the next payment to the town. Other than that, everything was in good order, and I make a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
I think we need to clarify, Laurel, what the future holds for us in terms of authorizing the claims and some of the other financial issues.
Okay.
I think we have to get this back under the purview of the clerk at a minimum, and probably the Budget and Finance Committee, because I think, the way we were doing it before was fine, but I think with this new construct, and I think what Chris was suggesting is we're going to have a working group, a smaller group that we can get together and make sure we understand how the processes are going to work in the future all the way around. But I think we really shouldn't be approving the claims at this level anymore. That really needs to go to the council. That's my opinion anyway.
Okay, and that's, my understanding is that prior, that as long as it was within the budget, that we could approve it. And I agree with bringing it back to the council, and you approve all these just like you do the town's payables. So that's totally fine with me.
I agree with Laurel about the town approving them, but I still would like Laurel to review them. And I think that's important since we're on the advisory board or the Public Works Board.
Right, and I don't have a problem with that. And I even said to Dr. LeMay in a phone conversation earlier that I would be happy to review all of them, go through invoice and so forth, and make sure that everything was in proper order for both the town and water prior to your meeting or the meetings.
So I'd suggest that with you looking them over, then you making the presentation to the council in the March meeting to approve these. I don't know that we need to do it today.
Okay, so then to the March meeting, I will present these claims right now, which is fine. Okay, next meeting is March 28th at 9 o'clock via Zoom. Anything else? For the water side.
Okay, in the interest of moving things along here, I've got a kind of a real brief agenda for the street department side. For those that have been not involved with the street department issues, if you have any questions, we can address them, but I'm going to blow through this pretty quick here just to get in the interest of time because we're getting a little long of tooth here. It's almost 10 o'clock. So we have our grant application in for the community crossing. If anybody's not familiar with that concept, it's actually a state-funded program that pays 75% of the cost of the project. And we applied for that in December. It's to be awarded in April. The amount we applied for is 1.1 million, and our share of that will be 25% of that plus some engineering costs. So there'll probably be a $300,000 or $400,000 outlay from the town, but essentially it's similar to one we've done 2 years ago, was about that same size. So the budget and finance guys are behind it, and actually the town council already voted it in. It's just informational at this point. We are trying to, this is actually part of stormwater as much as public works, but I think they're kind of interrelated somewhat. We're trying to purchase a hydro excavator. Chris mentioned something called a source well. What that is it's a quasi-governmental, it's actually a governmental thing that the state of Minnesota started, such that you can purchase items that were under a negotiated national contract rather than having to go out for bids on everything that you purchase. This is about $100,000 and something piece, 110 or so, maybe a little less than that. But at any rate, I just wanted to make everybody aware. So we are out trying to get that bid package, or however we're going to price that. We've got a quote in, and we're moving forward on that. The MS4, for those of you that don't understand, stormwater is organized through IDEM. That's the way we control stormwater under their regulation. There's some new permitting coming out. We met with some individuals with the county last week, or earlier this week, I should say, Tom and I. And so we're proceeding with getting all the ducks in a row relative to those permitting processes. We also have a contract out for Butler Fairman, who is an engineering firm. An individual named Reggie Korthals is handling that for us. The town council authorized a $1,000 outlay. She's also got a contract in that Chris has reviewed that we'll present at the March meeting. It's a T&M contract for her to help us with all the paperwork to get all that new permit process together. LaPorte County is pulled out of a four entity consortium, so to speak. They're doing their own, LaPorte City, I should say, pulled out. So that leaves LaPorte County, Trail Creek, and us as the only other MS4 participants. So at that meeting we had on the 25th, we discussed how we're going to proceed. We'll keep everybody informed on that. Street cut permits, I only put this on here informationally. I just want everybody on this committee to understand how that works. Whenever somebody does a construction project that influences or attaches to, or if it's new or an existing project, if there's anything that goes on along the street edge, they have to apply for a street cut permit. That way Tom gets a chance to review what they're doing and make recommendations relative to stormwater and the way they patch the street back in, and indeed whether they're allowed to do anything with the street at all at that location. So I just wanted everybody to be aware that if you have a building permit for a home project, for instance, you also need to get a street cut permit. We've had some situations where people did work without street cut permits, then we come back and it's not exactly kosher the way they've done it. 22 capital expenditures. We're looking at a pickup truck and a utility trailer. That's part of what we plugged into that capital plan that was approved by the town council in principle, and we're going to get some quotes together for that. Tom, if you have anything else to add, you can jump in here.
Greg and I were just talking this morning, and we're wondering if maybe we could work together with anybody that wants to work with us, and Mark Swistek also, and maybe establish a brief outline of stuff that we can have go out with, maybe the building permit process, that these contractors know who to contact, where to contact, and for what reasons. Maybe, specify for water reasons that they contact the water department or Greg or whatever, however we want to do it. And, just a brief outline on street cut permits, whether you may need it, if you're going to tear out a driveway, put in a new one, anything like that, what to do, what the process, or who to contact, just a kind of a brief outline of, because what we're having is a lot of folks are coming in here that don't know the procedures and everything of the town, And in some places, they may not need to go through the process. They come here and there's a process that they're not aware of, and they're already working on a project, and we find out in the middle or at the end when everything is done, you know, this is, you bypassed a step in the process, and we're just trying to maybe see if we can streamline something to give people a basic general idea of where to go, what to do, what may be required, and if, you know, something's not required or you don't need anything from either department or whatever, then you just kind of disregard that.
So that's something we need to kind of maybe embellish a little bit on the building commission packet that people pick up when they do a project.
Now, maybe you guys could come to the next building commission meeting. Would that be reasonable? And maybe talk to Larry about putting that on the agenda early so you don't have to wait for the whole meeting, because you certainly don't want to sit through a whole building commission meeting. That work, Tom?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Anything to get some information out there, and at some point, even if we put it on the town website. But I was kind of thinking that all these contractors have to register with the town and submit their paperwork for the year. Maybe in return, when they get their paperwork back or whatever they get back, that maybe this informational sheet maybe goes to them at the time when they get their return.
Yep. Although we'd be a little late for this year, as most of them already registered.
Right. So, you know, like I said, I don't know how we're going to do this or whatever. I think it's pretty simple, but just something to get the information out there. And other than that, we've been doing our normal street plowing, salting, working on our equipment trailer, replacing the boards for that, painting it, making sure, you know, rewiring everything. We're also working on a street striping project for the spring as soon as weather is good enough to be able to stripe some streets. I think maybe we'll get Chief Swistek involved in that, so then that way he can give his thoughts and ideas on where we may need some extra striping or something like that. And other than that, we're going along just fine.
That's all I've got. Does anybody have any questions? If not, I'll toss it back to whoever's running this show. Do we want to just have a motion for adjournment? I don't know if we have to, do we have to have a roll call for that, Bob?
I suspect we do. I'll do it really quick, though. Here we go. So there's a motion, and I think I saw Laurel second. Mary Lou?
Aye.
Laurel?
Aye.
Rick Ramages?
Aye.
Bernie Summers?
Aye.
Scott Pop?
Aye.
John Wall?
Aye.
Dan Tanis?
Aye.
Dan Ranke?
Aye.
Tom Dahl? I think Tom already went to work. Okay.
Yeah, but he's there, he's muted.
Yeah. All right. So I
But
think
we
we're
get a
done.
majority.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody, for doing this.
Thanks,
We're trying to get it
everybody.
organized, so next time is a little more organized.
Thanks,
Yeah,
everyone.
I
See if we
think
can-
that would be good.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.